right, everybody. Welcome back to OffBeat Sports Podcast. Me and Harry are back on for another episode.
Man.
Today's show is
Hey, peep those drinks in the background. Hey, can I get one real quick?
I'll send them down to you. We'll get that package down to you.
I'm gonna need to take a sip. We're gonna have to get a thing where we take a sip every episode, man.
Oh yeah. So Harry's still reporting from North Carolina. I'm reporting from Mass. We're still doing it. Let's go. All right.
Don't worry, I'm in North Carolina's, but I don't care about the Panthers.
So here we go. So today we're going to be talking about NBA headlines. We're going to go over some of the headlines from the last weekish kind of stuff, and we'll just talk about our opinions on it, kind of get quick opinions on it. All right. So first one, just reading off some ESPN stuff. So the Wall and so John Wall and the Rockets are parting ways. They're going to look for a place for him to go. He's not going to play for the Rockets this year. So what are we thinking about that? I mean, I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I mean, like, it's just kind of like random. And who do you think could use a guy like that?
The Sixers, man.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Yeah, I mean, with Ben Simmons, actually, that'll bring us to another one. But we'll get there with Simmons. But I mean, if Simmons is out, that's not a bad place.
So let me add some extensive research to that one. So I just think it's the smartest move for both teams, because I feel like the biggest problem with the 76ers and Simmons thing right now is Simmons is not happy with the team. He's not happy with how they've been. He's not happy with how they're doing. But John Wall is like a very confident guy, and everybody loves playing with him. Like he's a good leader. He's not a problem in that team aspect. And Ben Simmons can come onto a team and really lead things. I think he could, which is what he's trying to show, but he's kind of overshadowed by Joel Embiid. So I feel like Ben Simmons at this point in his career needs to prove that he can go somewhere and be just as dominant without his center taking the heat off of him. Because Joel Embiid's obviously the scariest player on that team, which is where most of their focus goes. And they have Tobias Harris as well. So it's everything gets a little scary and shaky down the road. But if you look at the Rockets roster right now, hold on, let me get a quick little Rockets roster.
Oh, they just drafted Jalen Green, so they want him running the team.
Yes, they did. Exactly.
And then they also got Josh Christopher in that draft, which was a good pickup.
Avery Bradley too.
That duo is going to be pretty good. Actually, I don't think they have Avery Bradley right now, do they? Because Avery Bradley, I just saw, was working out for the Warriors today.
Is he? Oh, well, yeah. Oh, okay. So he's on the roster. He's not signed. He's not signed. Yeah, he's not signed yet. He's on the roster. But all right. So let's take a good look at it.
Well, yeah. My thing with Wall is, I mean, he's a veteran. He wants to be on a better team. I think he needs to be on a contender right now. He's not looking to be a part of a rebuild.
I mean, if you look at him all his life, he's been on teams that are good but not contenders. And John Wall's had in my opinion, too great of a career to continue on that same all right, I'm gonna lead all these young dudes and see what we can get. He needs to go somewhere where he has a chance at getting something out of it. And he's older now, yeah. He's a lot older. He's kind of losing his taste, but he's turning 31. He's still John Wall. He's still fast. He's still a defensive asset to any team that he goes to. And if you put him on the team with the 76ers, which is why I feel like it would be a great move, but honestly, anywhere where he goes, it just needs to be a contender. If John Wall's going to go anywhere in his career right now, if he's looking to part ways, if they're looking to part ways, he's looking for a team that has a chance at winning. So whether that be the Nets, say they want to get rid of Kyrie, say they pick up John Wall, whether that be the Rockets, they have a strong point guard in Drew Holiday, but they could push him to small shooting guard, which is where he spent a good amount of his time. If you have John Wall, I know if anybody knows John Wall, he is gritty as hell. So he's used up all that in his entire career just to like get nowhere with it. So I promise you this frustration building in him. So
Yeah.
if it at this point he needs to go somewhere. It's not even a want anymore. He needs to go somewhere where he can actually produce.
And I think with the whole Wall situation, I mean, I could see him going to the Clippers. I mean, they don't have a
Yeah,
real like
yeah.
strong
I didn't
like
think about that.
star point guard. I mean, he would fill a role nicely for them, but I mean, with the Sixers, I think we should transition into a Ben Simmons talk right now because my thing with Simmons, I mean, first of all, the Sixers are trying to get him to like come back. I mean,
Yeah,
even though he's already said he's not coming to training camp and he's like done with them, and now they're like basically begging for forgiveness because they can't
yeah.
get any trade options, which they're
Because
like
they're gonna
is
ask too much.
yeah. Well, nobody wants to pay a ton for somebody who can't shoot.
Exactly.
So like with Ben Simmons, like now they're begging. Now they're begging for him to come back. Like it's kind of pathetic. And I think honestly, I don't think the situation is going to work out for anyone, and I think the Sixers are going to screw themselves if they wait too long. And
I think if they're gonna do anything here, they need to literally just contract swap with the Rockets. Pick up John Wall because John Wall's getting paid a hefty amount. He's getting paid
no,
44
they're
mil.
gonna have to get something other than John Wall in that deal.
Well, yeah,
I
but
mean, Ben Simmons is only 25.
they'd take like I'd say like John Wall and Kevin Porter.
Well,
That wouldn't be a
Kevin.
bad one.
Well, right now the Rockets are trying to build around Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. So
Well, but they also have Christian Wood, and Christian Wood's like one of their main guys, and they just got Daniel Tice, so they have a bunch
I
of
think
like strong
I think
producers.
if they're trading for someone on the Rockets, it's probably gonna be picks. I don't think there's anybody on the Rockets that the Sixers are fine that will help them contribute.
What are the Rockets looking at for picks right now?
I'm sure they have a bunch of
Would it be
them.
the
If they're
20? It would be the 2022 draft, right?
yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
they could probably get a first round pick at some point, some within the next few years. Probably get a first and a second in John Wall for Ben Simmons. But would Ben Simmons help the Rockets is the question. I don't think he would. I think I think that would stunt Jalen Green and Kevin Porter. Because
On the contrary,
well,
on
because
the contrary,
Ben Simmons wants to be the point guard when he's not when they like
you're right,
they're not going to want him to be a point guard over there. They want the ball in Jalen Green's hands. That's the
100%.
thing.
But here's what I like, and I agree with you on the aspect where like Ben Simmons is like, I'm a point guard. I'm gonna be a point guard, and like nobody really wants that for a point guard. Point guards have to be versatile. He's not. He's just a drive to the hoop, dunk, and get back on. That's it. He can't shoot. You can't shoot mid range, and if you can't shoot mid range, then you shouldn't be a point guard. But
He should
he
three. I
has
mean,
he can't shoot. He can't shoot a midi, so obviously he can't shoot a three. But like if you look at his ball handling and his playmaking and his ability to get the ball to where it needs to go, that's why he's trying to make his case for I should be a point guard. Why I think the Rockets would actually do better with Ben Simmons than John Wall is that adds more like height and defensive prowess to their team because they don't have a lot of it. It's like
oh,
Christian Wood. Christian Wood,
he would do more for the Rockets than John Wall would. I don't think
100%.
that,
Yeah,
but I think both would stunt the growth of their young guys that they're trying to build up. They're not looking to win now,
yeah. No,
which is not a place Ben Simmons wants to go. He's like,
which
although
is
he's young,
dumb.
he is fairly established. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not looking to go somewhere to go through another process. He already had to go through the Sixers process. He doesn't want to go wait for Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood to catch up, like so they can compete for a championship.
the problem with Ben Simmons is, yeah, he should. Like, I agree with you. He should go to a team where like they have a chance at winning. But who would take him?
The best landing spot for him realistically is the Warriors, just because the shooters. But then he would have to play forward, and and they don't want him running the point.
The
I mean,
only place I see him
the
going. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, the only way maybe they split split the point, like the point guard like position with Steph, like so then Steph kind of gets some off ball screens on a couple plays. But I think for the most part they want Steph up top,
Yeah,
and I think
I don't think that ever take him
so
off that.
Simmons would have to adjust to a wing role, but I think that would actually be a pretty good fit for him. But like I don't see any other team. I would honestly, although I'm not a fan of Simmons, I don't think he'd be terrible in the Celtics, and I don't think in any means is he going to the Celtics.
No,
And but I mean I don't think it would be a terrible fit. I wouldn't want. I mean I'm not like oh my goodness we need to get him, but like if it happened, it happened.
yeah.
Um,
Honestly,
and
honestly,
like if
building
you can
off
get him
that,
cheap, if you can get him cheap, there's no reason not to.
but you can't. You know what I mean?
Uh,
I mean,
eventually the Sixers are gonna have to cut down the price. And would
here's what
you?
we'd have to.
I mean, would you give up? I'd give up Schroeder and like a couple picks for him. I would.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's not what they're gonna take. You know what I mean? Here's what realistically they would take. They'd take Schroeder. They'd ask for some picks, but they'd want Pritchard as well. They'd want either Pritchard or Robert Williams or Aaron Neesmith. They'd want one of our young guys to substitute their young guy.
I'd give up Schroeder, Langford, and a couple of picks. I wouldn't
I
go
would
to
give
Naismith
up.
and Pritchard.
I would give up Schroeder and Neesmith. No picks.
Eh.
If they would go no picks.
Oh, if there was no picks, I probably would. I like Naismith.
Or like a third rounder.
I think Naismith's going to take a big leap this year, but that's besides the point.
I was excited for him, but I don't see him. Well, all right, I can't blame it on him. I can't blame it on him because we were 27th in the league in assists last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's were not pushing. Yeah, exactly. So we were not pushing the ball at all. But all right. Going back to so you said best place for him, like in your mind would be the Warriors.
I think personally that's my best.
So I think I'd have to agree with you, and that's like the best move for him. But I feel like the best move for him to stay as a point guard, which is what he wants to do, on a team that has a chance at winning, he'd have to go to the Jazz. He'd have to, because if you want, but hear me out here, because like Donovan Mitchell's like kind of the same type of player, but Donovan Mitchell has a lot of all-around ability. Donovan Mitchell's a really good shooter.
Well, one, very different players. Second, you run into the problem where now you have two guys on the floor who can't shoot at all, because then you have Gobert and Simmons, and I don't think the Jazz would like that.
But here's a throw, like if you kind of just like not throw it away, but like here's what they could do with it. They still have Ingles, right?
Yeah.
Joe. So they still have Jingles. They still have Jingles. And they have who's it? Bogdanovich.
Yep.
Or is he? Yeah. So they have two strong shooters to line up with them. If they put in Ben Simmons, that's a great ball. He's a great playmaker. He could get the ball to where they needed to go. He could get them to where they needed to be. But like at the same time, you also have like a huge core around them, and the defense on that team would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
It would, but I don't think they'd be very efficient. And that, and we can disagree, but I think that team would be very inefficient, and I think Donovan Mitchell would get aggravated. I even think Rudy Gobert would get aggravated, because I think especially Donovan Mitchell, because the ball would be getting taken out of his hands. And Donovan Mitchell is not an off-ball scorer. He definitely needs to have the ball like from the probably from the wing to get going. And I think Simmons takes away his opportunities. And
I would agree with you in that aspect. Like how Donovan Mitchell would get aggravated only because not only but primarily because he'd now be playing with the guy who stole Rookie of the Year from him.
Yeah. All right. So next headline. Seeing some stuff this week about Kyrie, and maybe like talking about getting rid of him because he has 1 year. This is his last year in his contract, and he might leave after. I mean, if your team trying to win a champion, if your team are trying to win a championship, you don't get rid of him. Especially, doesn't make sense to split up the trio. I mean, if he gets hurt, I mean, maybe try and send him away, see what you can get for him. But I mean, realistically, there's no point in bringing them all together just to split them up because because if you go in and you win a championship, he's resigning. I mean, he's
Yeah,
not gonna. I mean, maybe he retires because he's wacko, but but like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, I was surprised to see that. I was like scrolling through Instagram and I was like, yeah, I saw like Kyrie could leave or like could get traded, and I was like, what? Like,
it's
why
just a
does that
dumb
make sense
decision.
at all?
Well,
Although I
here's
don't
why
like
here's why
Kyrie,
that's just dumb.
I don't like Kyrie. I don't like. I mean, he's a good player. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's very
Yeah,
good.
here's why this is just dumb. Shop Kyrie, right? Who are you gonna get for him? Who are you gonna get for him? Well,
Yeah,
listen, who are
nobody.
you gonna get for him?
I don't know who wants to take him on unless you're
Exactly.
the like unless the Lakers
He's the yeah, right.
the
He's
Lakers trade
Lakers
for
will
him.
just take anybody at this point. Hey, Ben Simmons, go to the Lakers. But
Signing literally everyone.
here's just a kicker for that one. Nobody wants to play with Kyrie Irving, and I'm not saying teammates, I'm saying staff. Nobody wants Kyrie Irving as a face on their team because he's so controversial.
Except for the Nets, so
Like, I mean, well, the Nets just don't care. They're New York. New York loves controversy. Are you kidding me? Living in New York, imagine being in New York. The best thing to do is just talk shit. Right? I mean, being in Boston, it's kind of the same way. But I feel like New York's the only place that like Kyrie can be Kyrie. Because if you bring Kyrie somewhere else and Kyrie tries to be Kyrie, they're gonna try and contain Kyrie, and then Kyrie's gonna talk shit about his team. That's just what's gonna happen. I mean, it's because I I like Kyrie. I like Kyrie. I'm not scared to say it. I like Kyrie. I think Kyrie's a great point guard.
honestly,
But
I will second that. I like him as a player.
yes,
I
as a
think what he
person,
did here,
no,
I think what he did here was extremely shitty, and
yeah,
I will say that to the day I die. What he did here was shitty. Great player. I have no problem with him as a
yeah,
player.
yeah.
He was great. He was great in Cleveland. He was pretty good here. And honestly, he was good here. He was very good here when
Yeah.
he played. But
His
and
just performance wasn't there. Like he when he performed well, but he never performed. You know what I mean? He
yeah,
never played. We got to see him for like half of his contract,
mm.
and that's like the problem the Nets are facing right now because he was injured for half the
Well, my
season.
thing is, I don't like how he like. I mean, you promise to resign somewhere, and then you're just like, nah, never mind. I mean, like,
It's the second time he's done it.
not that I was like, oh yeah, I really want him to resign, but like, it was
Oh,
kind of
I
like a
didn't want.
given. Everyone thought it was going to happen, and I was like,
Yeah,
well, maybe it'll be different. Like, and then he just kind of left without really like saying it. Like,
but
and
that's
then
Kyrie.
when he comes here, he tries saying like putting everything on Boston, saying like trying to create an
Yeah,
image
right.
that like I mean, like
He's
it happens,
controversial.
but it
He's just
happens
controversial.
everywhere. It happens every.
Yeah,
It's like, and I just think like he tried to make it all about like all about that, and that was what rubbed me the wrong way because
oh,
like
you know what?
we loved him when
Here's
he
a
was
hot take.
here.
Here's
Everyone was loved him when he was here.
I agree. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's a hot take. Because right now, both of us are sitting here like, why would they do that? That's the stupidest thing they could do for the Nets, trying to be a championship team. Here's a hot take. Maybe the locker room doesn't like Kyrie Irving.
That's my thing is I don't see it because KD likes him. I don't know if Harden likes him. I'm
Does
not
he?
sure
Does
about
he?
that.
Does Katie like him?
KD loves
All
him.
right.
They're good friends. I know that. I know that for a fact. We
As
see
a,
that all the time.
yeah.
But
Well,
like, I don't know
as a
about all the
friendship
other
basis.
guys. I don't know about all the other guys.
On the court, he's
What I
just
don't like about the Nets is how like Joe Harris has disappeared. Like Joe Harris is
yeah,
still good,
dude.
but I
Yeah,
like Joe Harris. Joe Harris should be a starter, like somewhere,
absolutely.
and he's
Joe,
kind of got
like,
screwed over. He's gotten completely screwed.
yeah, his minutes
And
just got cut in quarters. I'm
I
like,
mean, now
what
he's a
just
bench
happened
player.
to
He's
Joe?
gotten
Yeah,
completely screwed.
he won.
And
Everybody seems to forget that he won the 3-point contest
he
and
is a
like broke
great
the
shooter.
record.
He's a good
Like,
player in general. He's a great shooter, but a good player. He's gotten
it's
completely
just
screwed by the whole big
it
three thing.
sucks. And watching
And
it just fall apart for him, it's just like, come on, man. Like that's
I mean, he's
such an
still
asset to
playing
the team.
well, and like I just think it's like I mean I like him, and I don't I
Yeah,
feel like he's getting the he's getting
dude, I was.
the
Are you
short end
kidding?
of the stick.
they're disrespecting Joe Harris. I would love to have Joe Harris on our team. Are you kidding me?
Oh
He
my
would
god,
start.
that'd
He would
be great.
100% start. He would
Oh
start.
yeah, for sure.
He'd take over the power forward position. Or no, sorry, the small forward.
No, he'd probably take the small. No, he'd probably take
Small forward.
shooting guard. They'd move Brown to small forward and
You
then
think?
Tatum. Well, yeah,
Oh
because
yeah,
that's
yeah. Because well,
it. Probably
they'd
doesn't
have
even
to take.
matter. He'd just be a wing. I mean, they
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
pretty much play positionless basketball other than like the point guard and the center position. Like
yeah.
Brown and Tatum are pretty interchangeable. But like, all
I
right,
feel like if that happened, Smart would still start, but as point
so
guard. But
so we agree.
yeah.
Stupid
Stupid,
Kyrie
just
trade
dumb,
rumors.
just
Stupid.
dumb, just dumb.
All right. So in this next headline, will the new Intuit Dome that the Clippers are building for the 2024-2025 season give the Clippers a new sense of identity where they won't be as much in the Lakers spot or Lakers background? Um, uh,
No,
I mean, I don't. I don't
I don't think so.
necessarily think like they're in the background because of like they use the same stadium, but like an arena.
It's because they're in the same state.
Yeah,
It's
they're same
the
same
Lakers are
city.
just
I
a
mean,
better.
like
Yeah, the Lakers are just a better
you
LA
move them
team.
literally. Although LA is like obviously a great market, but
Yeah,
you move them anywhere else. I mean, they're a much more marketable team, and they'll have a different identity because they're not in the same city.
but the problem with
The
moving
reason they're
them
always
is
getting
like,
compared to the Lakers is because they're always like to get like they're in the same city. I don't think putting
yeah,
them in a new stadium does anything for that.
yeah,
Like no,
it's like,
everyone's
oh
still
wow,
calling them everyone's still calling them the Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not changing
yeah.
anything.
It's like,
Nobody
oh my
gives a
god,
shit
they
where
can
you
both
play.
play home games at the same time. I promise you, most of the viewers are gonna watch the Lakers
First
play.
of all, nobody notices. Like
Yeah, nobody cares either.
the casual viewer that just going to watch NBA games, they're not like, oh, they're in a different stadium. Oh, that makes the Clippers just as good as the Lakers. Like, I
Right?
mean,
It's just dumb, dude.
it's not. It's now it's splitting the fan base because when Lakers or we say there's some fans that are fans of both teams and they want to go to both games. Now that if they have home games at the same time, now the fans are being split between or the two of them. And if they have to pick, they're going to pick the Lakers team. Lakers are going to be sold
They're
out.
gonna
Clippers aren't
pick the
going to have a full
Lakers.
stadium. Yeah,
They're gonna pick
that
the Lakers.
honestly, that was probably
Like,
the good thing for the
it,
Clippers is that they could they would have the only home game in LA. Like,
yeah, like that's it. But it's also a bad thing for the Clippers because they, if Italy in the case scenario where they both have a home game, like in different like timelines, you're not gonna watch the Clippers over the Lakers.
well, in like if the Clippers have a home game against the Lakers, like in their state or the stadium, it's still gonna be like there's still gonna be a shit ton of Lakers fans in there. It's not gonna change. It's not gonna be like,
Yeah,
oh, we only let in Clippers fans. Like
you're gonna look at you're gonna look at the stands and just see purple and gold. It's like you're
Yeah.
in LA still. Like it's Lakers City. Like nothing changes. You can change your stadium, but you can't change your fans. Like, that's it.
yeah, it's not like I was just like that's crazy. Like
So both
people
of us thumbs
actually
down on
think,
that one.
yeah,
Both of
people
us thumbs
actually
down on.
people
It's just
actually think that's like a difference maker. Like nobody cares. Like
nobody
obviously the
nobody
TD
cares
Garden
where you
has a
play.
lot of history, but like nobody's like, like
Well, if Boston played in
Boston played.
Fallborough,
If Boston had a new stadium, it would be like insanely different. I'm like, no, like they're playing basketball. Like they have the same fans in either stadium. Like it's not good. It's not like a huge thing. I find that to be comedy.
Well, if they played in Fall River, it would give them more of a crowd insight because it's more local. No, dude, no. Nobody gives a shit about where you're playing. If you're the Lakers and you're like the Clippers and you're in the same goddamn city, I promise you, I'd rather watch the Lakers. Like the Lakers have everybody, and the Clippers are just the Clippers have always been a shadow of the Lakers. They will be. It's just that's all it will be.
Oh, this is a good topic. I didn't see this online, but I did, or I was talking about this with someone, and I did see it online. I didn't see it in the headlines, is what I mean. They
Yeah.
is the Hall of Fame is too many people getting into the Hall of Fame, and is it really lowering the standards for Hall of Fame status? And let me explain first. So Hall of Fame people are saying it's supposed to be the best of the best are supposed to get into the Hall of Fame. It's supposed to be the best players of each generation. And now it's like and it's not necessarily, people weren't necessarily directing it towards like this year's or class or this year's Hall of Fame class, but like they were saying like all these players are getting in that like that might not have been like the best of the league when they weren't even the best of the league when they were playing
Yeah.
like that Tony Kukoc guy who just got inducted, but like he was on that team, like those Bulls teams, and he was good, but like he wasn't even he was probably wasn't even top four in his, like he wasn't even top three in his team, and like he wasn't even top 20 in the league at the time he was playing, like and people are like, and I get it, like I mean now you're gonna have to induct like, I mean Paul George, like you're gonna have to induct guys like that, like I mean you're
Yeah.
probably not Paul George, but like that's not what it's
Dude,
like
no,
you're gonna
but no, stop,
like
stop, stop.
I
Paul
mean
George
like
is
you're gonna
gonna
have
be in the
to,
Hall of Fame.
are you gonna have to induct like Chris Middleton, like
Yeah, it's
like
Kyle Lowry, Hall of Fame. He was on the championship team. Okay.
like I mean like Kyle Lowry's different, like he's
Okay,
been like
Pascal
a top
Siakam.
point guard.
Pascal Siakam.
No, like he's not like a Hall of Famer to me. Like Giannis, Hall of Famer. He's a
But
championship.
here's the thing.
Like
Here's the thing. They look at that, like at the end of Pascal Siakam's career, they'd be like, "Oh, he was on all NBA first team, or he was an NBA All Star 3 times. He won a championship. NBA Hall of Famer."
that's my thing. I honestly agree. I think it's getting too, the standards are getting too watered down, and because of who they're inducting, it's gonna like the standards are lowering for people that are gonna have to get inducted, like that are basically ring chasing now, because once they have a ring and once they were contributed to a team and they were good in their career, like they're gonna have to get in. Like I just have
Like
I have a problem with it just because I think
yeah.
it is supposed to be the best of the best. And hold on, people were like, when I was watching this video about it, they were saying like in 2K, it like you have to get a Hall of Fame status. You have to be averaging like a ton. You have to be a perennial all star with MVPs, other accolades to get into the Hall of Fame. And you could be just like a perennial all star and a couple like all pros to get into the Hall of Fame now, and maybe like one championship.
Like, dude, just let's be real here. Does Chris Bosh deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Does he?
I mean, I find that a little bit different. I mean, honestly,
does he? He was never Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, he was an NBA All-Star 11 times, sure, but everyone can get into the All-Star game.
That's actually an interesting one. I wasn't really. Yeah, that's actually interesting.
Does Chris Bosh deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he was on a team with Ray Allen, LeBron James?
If you want to go there, does Dennis Rodman deserve to be in a Hall of Fame?
That's different, though.
I think Dennis Rodman was one of the best rebounders of all time and a very good defender. One of the best defenders of all time but that's where I think, like, if you're one of the best at something of all time, then I could see it. But like if you're like Chris Bosh and you're just like a pretty good player for a while, like it's different.
You don't get to, like, Chris Bosh. He averaged less than 20 points in his career. If you can't hit 20, how are you going to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, and I honestly,
and it's not even like he averaged a double, 8.5 rebounds per game. That's what he averaged in his career.
It's different.
You look at Dennis Rodman. Really you look at Dennis Rodman. Like, ready? Dennis Rodman. Stats. His career stats. He averaged 13.1 rebounds per game. Like, with 7.3 points, but 13 rebounds.
Honestly, I think Dennis Rodman was very clear, like he was one of the best of all time at what he did.
Yeah, easily.
And I think
Chris Bosh wasn't.
Chris Bosh was a good player for a while, but
not one of the best. Yeah,
and Dennis Rodman contributed. And Dennis Rodman contributed to one of the greatest teams of all time. I think you can induct that Bulls team that held the record for the best record of the NBA for all that time. You can induct that team as like a team, say the Chicago Bulls. What was it, 96? Is it 96?
Yeah.
96 Bulls.
96.
like, so I think you could do that. Hold on. Yeah, it was the 96 Bulls. So I think you could do that, but to induct or most of the individual players, like, I don't know. And
And
I think
dude,
we could talk about this all day, but like we probably should have
Chris
done an episode
Webber in
about
the
this.
Hall of Fame.
Well, it's also
Chris Webber in the
no.
Hall of Fame.
My thing is, it was the basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's basketball. Chris Webber
Yeah.
was one of the
Okay.
greatest college players of all time. So that's where it also differs from it differs from
Okay.
so like
Okay.
you can consider like you could put shoot, what's the guy's name? Christian Leitner, or was it late? Yeah, is that guy's name? Yeah, you could put
Yeah.
him in.
It was
You
like,
could put him in the. You could, and then you could put like guys that play overseas. Like technically, it's the basketball Hall of Fame.
yeah.
So like, it's hard. It's hard to like say.
In my opinion, you need more than a championship and an all star to get into the Hall of Fame. You need to have like a Finals MVP or
Or an
like two
accolade.
Defensive Player of the
Okay,
Year.
all
So
right.
like,
Let me. Andre Iguodala. He has a Finals MVP. He won a few championships. Um, once or he has some
matter
All
of fact,
Stars.
I would say Andre over Chris Bosh. I would say Andre Iguodala deserves it more than Chris Bosh.
But that's the dilemma. Some of these, I don't want to say are empty accolades, but like that Finals MVP was well deserved. But a couple of those championships, I mean, he contributed, but like he wasn't the guy.
Yeah,
And he
but
has
same with Chris
like,
Bosh.
but most of his career, but like Chris Bosh was like the like number 3 guy. Like he was still like a very good
Yeah,
contributor to it. But like I don't know. I don't
his
know.
first to be a Finals MVP and have what? Andre Iguodala has what? 4 rings? Three, four, three.
I think 3. He went he won the 3. Well, he has the same amount as Steph, so they won
Steph
one
is
before
yeah, they're
KD
three.
and
They're three.
two
They're
after,
three.
or two when KD came.
Yeah.
Yeah, so three
So
championships.
three rings and a final MVP. That
And
does it for me.
he's made all a defensive team twice.
Yeah.
I think how many
He's
time
been on the
All
All
Star?
Star squad a few
All
times.
right,
Like I
one
think
time
five.
All Star, one time All
One?
Star.
Jesus Christ. Never
Yeah,
mind.
all rookie, Finals MVP, one time All Star. He's averaged for his career. He's
I,
averaged 11.6 points, 5 rebounds, 4
I know
assists.
Max Kellerman would put him in the Hall of Fame. Shit.
Like it's tough. It is a tough thing to determine. But like
Yeah.
now it's getting watered down because it's supposed to be the best of the best. And some of these guys that are getting inducted weren't even top 10, never mind top 20 when they
Yeah.
played. Like, and I think although they like
To round
like,
it out, I'd agree with you. I feel like it's getting too easy to get in the Hall of Fame from now on. You need to have more. Like Kobe, Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who's gonna be
okay, and I'm probably in the minority here, but like Paul Pierce, he won a championship, had a bunch of All Stars. He was great. He was a great player. I mean, he didn't win any MVPs, did he? No, he won a Finals MVP.
He won Finals MVP.
And I agree with it. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but like, yeah,
he ranks 9th all time in 3-point field goals.
Yeah, no, never mind. I talked myself out of it. I was trying to.
Yeah.
He was top 10, top 5.
26,397 points in his career.
Mm-hmm. But like, I wouldn't call him even top 5 Celtics of all time.
Oh no, I would not.
Because I mean, you have
Havlicek, yeah.
I would say Larry Bird, Bill Russell. I would put Kuzi in there.
Kevin McHale.
Havlicek. McHale up there. Yeah, I mean, you got all those guys. You have a lot of guys. Ray Allen. I mean, I would have Paul Pierce above both those guys, but like, I mean,
that's where we disagree. I think Kevin Garnett.
You would have Ray. Yeah, but like a Celtics player. I mean.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett was
just as a Celtic. Yeah, just as a Celtic.
Just as a Celtic. Yeah, I'd put Paul Pierce.
So, like I would say, I mean, I would probably put him around sixth. And because you have all those old players that were phenomenal,
Yeah.
like I said, Kuzi, Russell, Havlicek, Tommy Heinsohn, rest in peace.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Yeah.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
Well, that's all
Hall
I
of Fame
got.
is just easy. Yeah.
That's all I got. You got anything else?
Um, I got a headline to talk about actually. If we're running out of time here, I understand we can push it off.
If you have one, let's talk about it.
All right. How is Mr. New Guy Ime Udoka gonna actually turn around the Celtics?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it before, but I think he's a guy. He's gonna bring some defensive energy, some just overall energy. He's gonna he's gonna hold guys accountable. And I think we'll get less laziness and less like inconsistency out of Tatum and Brown. I think they're gonna be more refined.
Yeah.
And we won't see it as much as like they're gonna be taking over the locker. I think Ime is gonna be able to keep control of the team, unlike Brad was able to do, which Brad had it in the beginning of his thing, but then
he did.
But I think it just ended up he didn't end up winning over the locker room as like the new like guys that came in, and I think that was a problem. And he couldn't get the most out of everyone, just like even like defensively in effort. So I think we're gonna see a new just new team. I think we're gonna see some stuff we haven't seen before, just defensively and just like energy wise. I think Marcus Smart is going to be a great leader for that because he's always been doing that, and I think Ime likes that. And talking about Smart, I think Ime is going to be holding him accountable for his shot selection, which will be huge for his game.
We really need, because we just let him take what he wants to.
That's what I'm expecting out of Ime, and if I see less, I'll be fairly disappointed. But I think that's what we're going to get out of him.
Right there. What you said is exactly what I wanted to say this whole time. I expect, my expectations for him are high, and that's because he's coming out and he's coming in the middle of a rebuild. Like, we're not done rebuilding. In my opinion, I know a lot of people are saying, dude, we're built. Like, we have our young guys, we have our core. I don't think we're done at all. We definitely need, because everybody always says, all right, well, if the Celtics aren't looking good this year, then it's a problem. Celtics aren't looking good this year, that's a problem. Yeah and no.
This year we're being slept on, though. This year people aren't expecting us to be that good.
At all.
And the last time we weren't expected to be that good?
Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, yeah, that. But I was talking about the playoffs when everyone was hurt and we went to the Eastern Conference Finals and should have been in the finals.
Yeah. Dude, oh my God, that game 7.
I think
game 7.
We feed on people sleeping on us, and I think that's where
we do. We're Boston. We are Boston. But all right, so basically,
and I also think hold on, I think they're building a core for the next few years to succeed because Tatum and Brown are still young. I mean, they're not even in their primes yet, I don't think. And they're very good right now, but I think they're nearing their primes where once the old heads are start to leave the league, that's when our guys take over. And
we have such a strong development going on right now. There's so many young guys like Robert Williams. I feel like he is going to be like the next big thing in 4 years. And that's not even just me being sorry, technical difficulties. That's not even me just being a Celtics fan. I have so much high hopes for what Robert Williams can do for the league. Even if he's not on our team in 3 years, he's such a strong, powerful center. And everybody's shying away from that now with the stretch fives role and everything like that. He's just a classic, back him down into the rim, mean, gritty fucking center. So I like him. And Peyton Pritchard, he's an animal on defense. And mostly with Ime, I'm excited to see how he uses the young guys. Because Brad never uses the young guys. The only young guys he uses is Robert Williams and Grant Williams. And everyone knows how
I don't think Grant Williams is going to play this year. I don't think he'll play.
He'll play.
No, he'll get garbage minutes.
Ime already said something about him. Like, I'm looking forward to using like the young guys,
He'll
and
no,
he was.
he'll get garbage minutes. There's no way
I
because if you look
hope
at the
so, dude. I
rotation,
hope.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but if you look at the rotation, he's not going to get a lot of minutes.
All right. Well,
All right.
just still one last thing. It's not really a topic to talk about. I just want to say it. Warriors are looking into Isaiah Thomas.
I like it.
So
I don't think he's going to play.
no, me neither. I just love Isaiah Thomas. I'm just glad he's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Give him a
Right.
ring, Warriors. Win. Do it. Go ahead.
All right. Well, that's all I
from
got.
me, man.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching or listening or however you're doing.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah. Everyone go check out us on Instagram at offbeat_sports and check out our TikTok at offbeat sports. Harry's should be getting some stuff out soon.
Sorry, it's juggling work, man. Juggling work.
No problem. And everyone check out our sponsor Celsius. They're great. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time, probably with our Patriots Week 2 recap. So
yeah. So we'll both be back.
Yeah.
Stick around. You'll see us again.
All right. Peace.
Later.